Okay, time for another project, and this one is going to be doing some upgrades on our rooftop AC that we did a while ago. So we've had a problem with the furnace. I have another video where I took the furnace out and I cleaned it and it worked great and everything was awesome. And then we tried to use it this year and it didn't work. It didn't even turn on. So it's a little bit frustrating that it stopped working after it was working so nicely before. But we also haven't really needed the furnace. The furnace has some nice features like ducts that bring heat out the front and the back, and a duct that goes around to the bathroom. So those things are kind of nice. I'm going to leave the furnace where it is for now and maybe get it working again. But we found that a lot of times we are in a campground where we're plugged in and we just need a little something to kind of take the chill out of the air in the morning. And so we've had a little electric space heater, which is okay. But we decided that it would be nice to add the heat strip to our air conditioning unit. So we have a Coleman Mach 15 unit, and we installed that a little while ago, and one of the options was to get a heat strip. And so I hadn't ordered that yet, but I got one. Here's the little manual on this. I'll do a link to the product because it was kind of hard to figure out based on descriptions and their website and things exactly which one. There's a couple models of the heat strip, which one fit our Mach 15. This is, and again I'll link to it so you don't need to remember numbers or anything, but this is for the 45,000 and 48,000 series units, and it says Mach 3, Mach 10, Mach 15. So pretty confident this is going to be the right product. It came with just a couple of parts. So a new little knob, which we'll get to here in a minute to give you a heat option. And then the unit itself. So this is the heat strip. There should be a plug-in up there that we'll be able to plug it into. And then it goes up inside of the AC unit. We'll see that here in a minute. I think this puts out something like 6,000 BTU, which isn't a lot. The gas furnace in this, I think, is 30,000. But I've read that this will, on kind of a chilly morning, increase the temperature in the coach by maybe 10 degrees or so, which is kind of what we're looking for. You do have to be plugged in or have the generator running, so there's a little bit of a disadvantage there. But the furnaces in these run fans that use a bunch of battery power anyway, so it's kind of one of the reasons that we haven't used the furnace very much, because we didn't want to draw the batteries down. So I think this will be a good solution. So let's talk about how we get into it. So it goes in from the bottom here, and so we need to take off this cover. I think these knobs just pull off. Looks like I'm going to need to get a screwdriver to kind of pry these off. But basically, I'll take this outer cover off. If I get these little vent covers off on the side here with the filters and things, then I can get to a couple screws in there and start taking things apart. So I'm going to get some tools and get to it. Oh, it's stuck on there kind of tight. And then these things, I don't know why they are so hard to take out. They should just kind of pop out, which they do, but it feels kind of weird to bend them as much as you have to. And then filters are the same thing, they kind of pop out. And yep, sure enough, I can see the screws there. So get this other side. And I think these are, just Phillips screws. These are short little screws. They come out pretty easy. And I think this really is just the cover that kind of makes a seal to the roof of the coach. and then that just comes off. Okay, and now we've got a couple of things. There's this little duct here with a couple of screws up inside of it that will take that out, and then there's 4 screws along the bottom of this. So all of this will come off, and then there's a couple wires on the back of this that shouldn't be in the way. And these are all pretty short little screws, so they come out nice and easy. They are a little, oh no, I guess they're not different sizes, so I don't have to worry about mixing them up. So 3 on the little duct there, and 4 on the outside. Okay, there it is. I'll be a little careful I don't pull any wires loose or anything, but yeah, it's not a problem. Just kind of hangs there by the connectors. And then as far as installing this, so it's going to be maybe a little bit hard to see. If you come over here and kind of shoot up there, I think you'll be able to see where this goes. So the heat strip, we kind of need to slide it up in here, but it goes right up in front like this, and it's kind of hard to see from this angle. You know what, I think I might unplug this, looks like kind of like a 9-pin type of connector, so that I can move the control out of the way a little bit. So this should just unplug. Which it does, but it's kind of tight. Get a little screwdriver to pry on it. There we go. Okay, so, and this has a strain relief thing on it, so the 110 volt is good. I should, just from a safety standpoint, make it very clear that the power is off. We're not plugged into shore power. Turn off the circuit breaker. You want to make sure, just to be safe, that there's no power going to this, because this would be 110 volts normally, so definitely want to be careful about that. So probably should have that disclaimer at the beginning of the video, but at least make sure that that's all turned off. So now I unplugged this connector right here. This other connector right next to it has a little kind of black safety cover on it. That is where the heat strip will plug in. So this was set up for both the AC controls and the heat strip. And then now that we've got that out of the way a little more, I think we can get a good view of where it goes. So there's a label here, and it basically says install optional electric heater or air purifier at this location. So we have just the heat strip, so that's what we're going to install. I'm guessing that there must be an air purifier option also, but probably because it says or here, you can install one or the other, but not both. So we can kind of slide this up in here now, and it just kind of sits on the lip there. And so there's a piece that goes on the inside, and then this thing goes on the outside, and then there's this Allen wrench set screw here. And I just want to make sure it's kind of centered. Looks like maybe needs to go a little bit this way. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So now you want to tighten this down, and I don't have any Allen wrenches with me, so I'm going to go get an Allen wrench. We definitely want this to be pretty tight because you don't want this to, you know, rattle around and fall off and something, because this this heat strip up here probably gets really hot, so you don't want it to rattle down and make contact with something else. Also, I'm going to make sure that the wires here don't get in the way where they're going to touch it, so I'm going to kind of route them around the screw and things here just to keep them out of the way. So we'll get an Allen wrench and basically start putting things back together. All right, so I got my Allen wrench here. This is a 3/16 Allen wrench. Not a lot of room here, but it doesn't take very much to tighten it down. And yeah, I'll give it a little bit more here. There we go, that gets pretty tight. So basically we have a piece of metal behind, and then there's this kind of wedge piece of metal and this set screw that digs into that a little bit. And it is, the metal's flexing a little bit there, but nice and tight. So don't think we have to worry about that slipping off, although I'm going to give it just a little bit more of a tightening here just to make sure. Okay, yes, that feels pretty tight. So I think we're good. It looks straight, nice and even up there, so I like that. And now basically we can start putting things back together. So this two wire pin, or 2-pin connector, I guess, only goes one way. It's rounded on one end. So that goes in pretty easy. And then this also has a unique shape, so it only goes in one way. So plug that in, make sure that it goes all the way in so that we don't have any problems with bad connections. And I do kind of just want to make sure that things are not getting wrapped up or get in the way of the heat strip or anything here as I put it up. And that's looking pretty good. So yeah, it's nice. So you can kind of look in the side here and see how things are going together, but that looks good. So start putting in some of my screws. So I have put things back together. Just put the screws back in, made sure my cables and everything were routed properly. I put this knob back on. Now we had always just kept this on cold because it was just an air conditioner, and so kept it on cold, but it does have red for heat, and so depending on how you position this, you can get heat or cold. So it does have a thermostat in here. So for testing, I'm going to put it on heat because we'll want to do that. And then for the knobs, so the kit came with 2 new knobs. One of them is more square, the other one is more rounded. The knob that we had is more rounded, and so I will use the rounded one. But what we see when we look at these, this is the one that we had originally. There's an off position, and then it has low fan. The new one has low heat. And then the next position is low fan, low cool, and high cool. So now that we have this heat option, we don't have 2 low fans anymore. We have one that says heat. So, and it just goes on one way. So we'll snap that on. And to put it the right way. There we go. Okay, so got the new switch on here, and it has low heat now, and the other positions. Obviously nothing's working now because we're not on shore power. We have the breaker off, or the generator's not running, anything like that. So we're going to, I don't know, get it on shore power or start up the generator, I suppose, and try it out, make sure we get some hot air. I might actually try that in the morning when it's cooler, because it's kind of hot right now. It might be a little hard to tell if we're actually getting heat out. But that's pretty much it, other than testing and making sure it works. All right, so I said that I was going to double check this when it was a little cooler outside. So I did that. It's about 60 degrees outside right now, and turned on this the heater element for a little bit. So changed the temperature to warm and put it on low heat, and let it run for a little bit. I had it running for about 15 minutes, and I'll put in a little video of a little laser temperature gun that I used. We were getting temperatures at the duct inside of this at about 82, 83 degrees. So it is making some pretty good heat up there actually at the unit. Obviously the element up inside is going to be hotter than that, but circulating the air through, we were getting 83 degree air out of this. The coach itself, it's about 60 degrees outside. It was about 65 or so inside. And after running it for about 15 minutes, we'd already brought the temperature up several degrees, up to about 70 degrees here in the coach. So they don't really call this a heater because it doesn't really put out enough heat to really keep the coach warm. They call it more of a chill chaser or a heat strip, or something like that. I think for our purposes, where we just want to kind of warm things up a little bit before we get out of bed in the morning, I think this is going to work pretty well. Just nominate one person to go out and turn it on and let it run for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I think it'll be much more comfortable in here. The bathroom still might be a little chilly, so we may have a little space heater or something to put in there, or maybe leave the door open to help let it warm up before we take a shower. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the heat that it puts out, considering that we just wanted to get a little bit of extra warmth in here when we're in a trailer or like in a campground where we can plug in and use electrical.